Ladies and gentlemen, pause for a moment and truly observe the world around us. What do you see? A relentless cascade of voices, a constant hum of self promotion, a digital echo chamber where everyone seems to be shouting their intentions from the highest rooftops. In this cacophony, it's easy to believe that the loudest people are also the most successful, that constant visibility equates to undeniable progress. But I'm here to tell you a different story, a quieter, more profound truth. The ones who genuinely win, who build empires and leave lasting legacies, are often surprisingly quiet at the start. They don't arrive with a fanfare, they arrive with action. They don't feel the need to announce every single step they take. They simply do. Think about it. You don't need to tell the entire world what you're doing. You don't need to embark on a crusade to convince every skeptic of your inherent greatness. Instead, your focus, your unwavering dedication, should be on crafting and building something so intrinsically remarkable, so undeniably effective, that it speaks for itself. The fundamental problem with prematurely sharing your grand plans, your nascent dreams, is disarmingly simple. Most people won't see your vision the way you do. They simply can't. Their perspective is inherently shaped by their own experiences, their own fears, and their own limitations. As you articulate your aspirations, they'll inevitably dissect them, question their feasibility, and, whether intentionally or unintentionally, plant insidious seeds of doubt. Imagine your dream, your deepest ambition, as a fragile, flickering flame. At its inception, it's tiny, vulnerable, and exquisitely delicate. Expose it to the raw winds of other people's opinions too soon, and that tender flame will be mercilessly blown out. But if you choose to protect it, to tirelessly fuel it with your unwavering effort and boundless patience, that small flame will soon gather strength. It will grow steadily, powerfully, until it becomes a roaring fire, a beacon that everyone in the room, and eventually the world, can not only see but tangibly feel. So, I urge you, move in silence, work in silence. Let your results be the thunderclap that makes the noise. You don't need external validation. What you truly need, what will propel you forward, is consistency. And when that pivotal moment finally arrives, when your success is not just real but profoundly undeniable, the world will invariably turn to you, why, died, and ask, how did you do it? How did you achieve all this? And that, my friends, is when you can allow yourself a knowing smile, a quiet sense of triumph, and simply say, I was working while you were watching. Always remember this potent principle. Never tell people what you do. Let them see what you've done. In a world increasingly driven by constant talking, endless tweeting, and the pervasive need to tell all, there exists a quiet, often ignored, truth. The real, enduring power doesn't reside in what you articulate, it resides in what you accomplish. The peril of premature disclosure. Why silence shields your plans prohibited. Speaking everyone can talk. Literally anyone. We live in an era where the barrier to broadcasting grand plans, shouting big dreams, and loudly claiming future success has never been lower. Social media platforms, endless online forums, and the very fabric of our conversational culture encourage us to articulate our intentions at every turn. But let me be unequivocally clear, the world does not advance because of noise. The world moves, it progresses, it evolves because of action. If you truly aspire to be respected, if you yearn to be remembered long after the chatter fades, then you must cultivate the wisdom to let your results speak louder than your words. This isn't just a catchy phrase, it's a strategic imperative. When you prematurely share your goals, you're not just inviting conversation. You're inviting a complex ecosystem of opinions, judgments, and expectations. Everyone has a perspective, and often, those perspectives are colored by their own insecurities or limited understanding. Suddenly, your audacious vision becomes a public forum, subjected to scrutiny from individuals who may lack your foresight, your dedication, or your unique blend of experiences. But consider the alternative when you simply show up day after day, quietly working, consistently improving, and meticulously building something in the background. Something truly magical begins to unfold. You become undeniable. At first, people might not notice you. They might even dismiss you, doubt your capabilities, or simply ignore your efforts altogether. That's perfectly fine, because results cannot be ignored. They are irrefutable. Numbers don't lie. Progress is tangibly visible. Transformation speaks volumes, and word in doing so. Even when you generations remain utterly silent. It's a common human tendency to try and impress others by talking about what we will do. We sketch out elaborate blueprints of future achievements, paint vivid pictures of promised successes. Yet, no one is genuinely moved by what's promised. People are moved deeply and profoundly by what's proven. You don't need to exhaust yourself trying to convince others with your words, when your consistent actions are already changing the game. Every single hour you diligently spend working behind the scenes, away from the spotlight, adds an undeniable weight to your eventual words. Not because you conjured some impressive rhetoric, but because you did something that genuinely matters. There is an inherent, almost magnetic, power about individuals who don't engage in much chatter, but consistently deliver far more than anyone ever anticipates. These are the quiet achievers. These are the people who, through their consistent performance, effortlessly gain trust. These are the individuals who are most profoundly respected in silence. Why? Because their diligent work organically creates impact without ever needing to be explained or justified. Their inherent value becomes strikingly obvious without any need for aggressive selling or constant self promotion. The loudest person in the room might indeed attract fleeting attention for a brief moment, but the consistent performer, the one who quietly delivers day in and day out, is the one who earns respect that lasts a lifetime. The pervasive problem with perpetually talking about what you're doing is that it inevitably morphs into a performance. Your motivation subtly shifts. You begin to live for external applause, for the fleeting validation of others, rather than for the intrinsic satisfaction of tangible results. You find yourself ensnared in the endless pursuit of approval, instead of the deep fulfillment of genuine achievement. And very quickly, you discover you're spending far more time explaining your process, defending your choices, and justifying your existence than you are actually executing your plans. This, tragically, is where countless dreams meet their untimely demise, not because the individuals behind them weren't capable, weren't intelligent, or weren't driven, but because they became inextricably addicted to the act of talking instead of the laborious, often solitary, act of doing. Real growth is quiet, real mastery is silent. It doesn't happen in grand, public pronouncements. It happens in the long, arduous hours spent in unseen effort, in the crucible of private discipline. It's not glamorous, it's certainly not loud, but when that quiet, consistent effort finally manifests itself, when the results undeniable reveal themselves, it has an extraordinary effect. It makes people stop. It makes them listen with genuine interest. And most importantly, it makes people believe. So, actively resist the urge to be the person who constantly needs to explain how tirelessly they're working. Instead, strive to be the person whose results eloquently demonstrate the profound difference they've made. Let people be so captivated by your achievements that they ask, with genuine curiosity, how you got there, instead of wondering if you'll ever get there. Allow your remarkable story to unfold organically through your undeniable achievements, not through a parade of premature announcements. The tranquility of secrecy, letting your results do the talking, there is an almost profound sense of peace that settles over you when you consciously choose to keep your most significant work to yourself. This isn't about secrecy for secrecy's sake. It's about strategic self preservation. When you operate in silence, you effectively eliminate the noise that constantly assaults our senses in today's hyper connected world. You deliberately remove the pervasive distraction of outside pressure, the expectations, the demands, the unsolicited advice that can derail even the most focused individual. Crucially, you grant yourself the invaluable space to fail privately, to improve quietly, and ultimately, to win powerfully. You don't owe anyone a play, a blow account of every single twist and turn on your journey. Your true obligation is to yourself, to commit the necessary time and like focus to finish what you started. Success, true and lasting success, doesn't require a flashy press release on day one. It simply requires persistence. When you choose to win quietly, your results, your tangible achievements, organically become your voice. And that voice, born of concrete accomplishment, is inherently louder, infinitely stronger, and far more credible than anything you could ever articulate with mere words. People will listen, not because you begged them to, not because you demanded their attention, but because they can visibly see it for themselves. They can witness the undeniable change. They can observe the profound impact. They can see the irrefutable results. You don't need to raise your voice or scream for attention when your dedicated work naturally raises eyebrows. You don't need to prove your inherent worth with grand pronouncements when your consistent output already proves your excellence. You don't need to chase elusive recognition when your unwavering discipline consistently brings forth results that speak volumes for you. Every truly great idea, every groundbreaking innovation, every monumental project begins its life as a remarkably fragile seed. In its earliest nascent stage, it's often unclear, highly vulnerable, and brimming with boundless possibilities. And it is precisely during this delicate phase that it is most acutely at risk, not necessarily from outright failure, but from the crushing weight of judgment. The opinions of others, especially those who lack the imagination or courage to see beyond the present, can weigh incredibly heavily, particularly when you're still in the challenging process of figuring things out yourself. That's precisely why the smartest, most strategic move you can possibly make when embarking on something genuinely new is to protect your vision fiercely and quietly. When you expose your embryonic ideas too early, you aren't just inviting feedback. You are often inviting a torrent of noise, criticism, and perhaps even subtle sabotage. Most people, bless their hearts, simply will not understand the full scope of your ambition. Why? Because they are largely confined to seeing things through the narrow lens of their own experiences, and, crucially, their own limitations. They will invariably judge what you're attempting to do not based on its magnificent potential, on what it could ultimately become, but based on what they would or wouldn't dare to do. It's not necessarily that they intend harm. Often, they genuinely cannot perceive the future you envision. Yet, their words, their offhand comments, their subtle expressions of doubt can still cut deep. Their unspoken skepticism can still plant the insidious seeds of hesitation in your mind, slowing your progress, perhaps even halting it entirely. You must deeply internalize this truth. Vision is a profoundly personal thing. It is meticulously born from your unique tapestry of experiences, from your deepest dreams, and from your core beliefs. It is a singular creation, utterly unique to you. Expecting others to instantly grasp its complexities, to share your fervent belief, is simply unrealistic. Sharing it too soon can unfortunately lead to overt rejection, subtle mockery, or even a persistent, insidious discouragement that quietly lingers in your mind, gnawing at your confidence and significantly slowing your progress. Not everyone possesses the innate ability to think far ahead, to project possibilities into the distant future. Not everyone possesses the raw courage to believe in the invisible, in something that exists only in your mind's eye. And most certainly, not everyone possesses the unwavering patience required to nurture something from its tender beginnings until it fully blossoms and truly grows. That's why it is absolutely imperative that you build your vision in silence. Protect it with the same vigilance you would protect a precious, vulnerable fire in a relentless wind. Keep it small, keep it steady, and nurture it meticulously until it has gathered enough strength, enough inherent power, to confidently withstand the inevitable onslaught of the world's opinions. Use that silence as an impenetrable shield while you are in the crucial phase of creation. Let the outside world idly speculate that you're inactive. Let them confidently underestimate you. Let them remain blissfully unaware of the incredible work unfolding behind the scenes. This isn't about deception, it's about strategic preparation. Early judgment is extraordinarily dangerous precisely because it almost always arrives before any tangible results can speak for themselves. People, by nature, are quick to criticize things that haven't yet unequivocally proven their worth. They'll enthusiastically question your decisions, scrutinize your chosen path, and perhaps even cast aspersions on your character if you appear to be deviating from the norm. And if you're not mentally prepared, if your conviction isn't yet fully solidified, their premature judgment can profoundly shake your belief. It can make you doubt yourself, your capabilities, and the very validity of your ideas before you've even had a genuine chance to test them. And when that devastating self doubt sets in, far too many people quit. Not because their ideas truly failed, but because they allowed someone else's ill-informed opinion to define and ultimately destroy their confidence. You need ample space to fully develop your vision without the intense, blinding glare of the spotlight. You need the precious freedom to make mistakes, to stumble, to learn, and to correct your course without the crushing burden of public embarrassment. You need the crucial time to meticulously figure things out, to iterate, and to refine, without feeling compelled to explain every single painstaking step. This, unequivocally, is how real innovation takes root and flourishes. This is how truly strong foundations are meticulously built, not in the clamorous noise of the crowd, but in the serene, unwavering quiet of commitment. When you make the conscious choice to protect your vision, you are simultaneously safeguarding your most valuable resource, your energy. You cleverly avoid squandering precious time and mental fortitude on endless rounds of defending, justifying, or debating your nascent dreams with those who simply cannot comprehend them. That invaluable time, that vital energy, is far, far better spent building. It is far better invested directly into action. People, with their inherent impatience and curiosity, will undoubtedly try to rush you. They'll badger you for updates, demand proofs, and look for signs that you're moving fast enough, according to their timeline. But understand this fundamental truth: growth doesn't always look exciting from the outside. Sometimes the most important, most impactful work is utterly invisible. It's the meticulous planning, it's the relentless experimenting, It's the inevitable failing and the unwavering trying again. Most of the world, by its very nature, only applauds the finished results. They don't see the grinding struggle, the countless nights you stayed up consumed by thought, the profound doubts you battled alone in the quiet hours. They simply see the polished, finished product and often remark, with casual certainty, of course it worked. But what they fundamentally miss, what they cannot possibly comprehend, is the arduous, often lonely, journey. And that's perfectly okay. They're not supposed to see it. That's precisely why it is your singular responsibility to guard it, to shape it, and to relentlessly strengthen it before it ever sees the public light. The early stage of any vision, any dream, any grand undertaking, is its most sacred phase. It's the period where you are most intimately connected to the unadulterated truth of your original intention, completely unshaped and uncorrupted by external expectations. It's when you are still building from a place of pure, unyielding belief, rather than from a desperate craving for external validation. And that's why judgment, particularly in this critical stage, is not only dangerous, it is profoundly distracting. Mastering the art of quiet growth. Move in silence, grow in strength. There is an incredible, almost mystical, power inherent in silence that the vast majority of people consistently overlook. In a world where every individual seems to be desperate to be seen, to be heard, and to be instantly validated, the strongest individuals, paradoxically, are often the quietest. They aren't issuing grand announcements every other day. They aren't sharing every single move, every minute detail of their journey on social media. They are simply, profoundly doing the work. Moving in silence isn't about hiding or being secretive in a negative sense. It's fundamentally about focus. It's about meticulously building strength, layer by painstaking layer, without the constant, draining distraction of external noise, unsolicited opinions, or any form of unnecessary attention. When you consciously choose to move in silence, you create an invaluable sanctuary, a vast, unobstructed space to grow without any interference. You systematically eliminate external pressure. You deliberately remove the seductive temptation to perform for others, to tailor your efforts for applause. Instead, your sole, unwavering focus shifts to performing for your own purpose. That, my friends, is when real, profound progress truly happens. It blossoms in the absence of applause. It flourishes in the absence of judgment, and it accelerates exponentially in the unwavering presence of consistent action. It may not be glamorous, it certainly isn't loud, but it is monumentally powerful. People frequently, and quite sadly, waste an astonishing amount of their precious energy attempting to convince others that they are working hard. They desperately want the world to know they're on the right path, that they're relentlessly chasing something truly monumental. But every ounce of energy spent proving is an ounce of energy directly taken away from doing. When you embrace the power of moving in silence, your focus sharpens to a razor's edge. You begin to instinctively discern what genuinely matters and what is merely distracting noise. You cease chasing fleeting attention and instead embark on the lifelong pursuit of mastery. There's an immense quiet strength in knowing, deep within your core, that you don't need to constantly talk about your grind. You don't need to prematurely show your work before it's meticulously ready. You don't need to announce every single step you take. Why? Because while others are frantically busy seeking external validation, you, the silent builder, are busy crafting something truly real. You are steadfastly becoming someone unshakable, someone of undeniable substance. Every single silent hour you meticulously invest, every moment of unseen effort, becomes an indispensable brick in the formidable foundation of your strength. Understand that growth doesn't always look loud. It certainly doesn't always look impressive on the superficial surface. Sometimes growth looks deceptively like failure. Sometimes it looks like tedious repetition. Sometimes it looks like perplexing confusion and soul crushing frustration. But those who cultivate their growth in silence do not fear these challenging phases. They courageously embrace them. They possess the profound inner knowing that every challenge, every seemingly insurmountable setback, every lonely hour, is an intrinsic, non negotiable part of the process. And precisely because they are not performing for an external audience, they are blessedly free to fail, to learn invaluable lessons, and to tirelessly improve without the debilitating burden of shame. When you choose to be quiet, to move strategically, you automatically become unpredictable. People simply don't know your next move. They can't easily copy your strategies. They can't effectively block your path. And crucially, they can't distract you with their endless noise. Silence, therefore, transforms into your most potent shield. It bestows upon you an unparalleled freedom. It meticulously protects your raw creativity, safeguards your strategic insights, and fortifies your mental mindset. You are not competing with anyone because your entire being is too singularly focused on becoming your absolute best self. You are not consumed by worries about keeping pace with others. You are diligently building something they haven't even begun to fathom. True strength is not forged in front of an audience, under the blinding glare of public scrutiny. It is meticulously built in the background, in the quiet, hidden spaces. The strongest minds, the most resilient spirits, are forged in the profound crucible of silence, where thoughts run deep, where emotions are rigorously disciplined, and where goals are held with unwavering, unshakable conviction. Silence grants you the invaluable space to truly listen, to your deepest instincts, to your inner wisdom. It allows you to forge an unbreakable connection with your overarching purpose. It forces you to cultivate an absolute trust in yourself, especially when no one else is watching, when no one else is cheering you on. And when you nurture your strength quietly, when your growth unfolds in the serene embrace of silence, your eventual results will speak with an authority far louder than anything you could have ever uttered. And precisely because no one witnessed the arduous, meticulous process, the eventual results will often appear extraordinary, almost miraculous. But you, the quiet architect, will know the profound truth. It wasn't sudden. It was painstakingly built, slowly, steadily, and in the profound, unwavering power of silence. That strength, earned through such a process, becomes genuinely unbreakable because it was forged without shortcuts. It was developed in the intimate privacy of your own disciplined commitment, and is therefore infinitely harder to shake in the public arena. People often, mistakenly, interpret silence as a sign of weakness or inactivity. But true silence is far from passive. It is inherently strategic. It is a deliberate, conscious choice. It is a powerful way to effectively block out a universe of distractions and protect your invaluable energy. It is the profound decision to first cultivate deep, enduring roots before ever attempting to show off your vibrant leaves. It is the unwavering discipline to construct an impossibly strong foundation before even contemplating the pursuit of recognition. While others are busy performing, you are diligently preparing. While others are perpetually talking, you are quietly, fundamentally transforming. While others are watching each other, vying for attention, you are diligently watching yourself, honing your craft, perfecting your purpose. The art of disengagement, avoiding unnecessary pressure and toxic competition, success in life, and particularly in business, doesn't always flow from pushing harder, shouting louder, or moving faster than absolutely everyone else. More often than not, it stems from a far more nuanced understanding, the wisdom of discerning where not to waste your precious energy. One of the most powerful and liberating decisions you can ever make is to consciously step away from unnecessary pressure and to actively avoid competition that ultimately serves no meaningful purpose in your grand scheme. You are not, by any divine right or societal decree, obligated to be in a race just because a multitude of others are frantically running. You do not need to compete for things that fundamentally do not align with your deeply personal vision, your core values, or your authentic path. The pressure that inherently comes from comparison is arguably the most insidious and damaging kind. When you constantly measure your progress, your worth, or your pace against someone else's timeline, you inevitably begin to doubt your own unique rhythm. You start feeling irrevocably behind, even when you are precisely where you are meant to be on your individual journey. You begin to feel inexplicably small, even when you are steadily and robustly growing. And, slowly but surely, your entire focus subtly shifts from diligently building what genuinely matters to you to desperately trying to prove yourself to others. This toxic comparison creates a pervasive stress that is a direct pathway to burnout, to making poor, reactive decisions, and to a profound loss of clarity regarding your true objectives. Many individuals regrettably fall into the deceptive trap of competing simply because everyone else around them appears to be doing it. They strive frantically to be the fastest, the biggest, the most visible, the most celebrated, but in their exhaustive pursuit of winning someone else's game, they tragically lose sight of their own. Understand this fundamental truth. You weren't born to copy, you were born to create. You weren't meticulously built to follow transient trends. You were meticulously built to set your own enduring direction. And when you constantly place yourself in situations that inherently demand comparison and foster ruthless competition, you drain the very life force, the essential energy, that is absolutely vital for true innovation and creative breakthroughs. Not every perceived opportunity is genuinely worth taking. Not every race is truly worth running. And certainly, not every opinion, no matter how loudly proclaimed, is worth acknowledging or responding to. The very moment you profoundly realize that unnecessary pressure is entirely optional, you liberate yourself from its suffocating grip. You cease striving to be merely impressive and begin striving instead to be deeply intentional. You stop frantically fighting for fleeting attention and start diligently building real, tangible value. Pressure isn't always an indicator of progress. Sometimes it's a stark warning sign that you're carrying a weight that simply does not belong to you, a burden imposed by external expectations. There is a crucial distinction between healthy competition and toxic comparison. Healthy competition gently pushes you to improve, but always on your own terms. It's an internal drive, self-propelled and deeply personal. But unnecessary competition is exclusively external. It's relentlessly driven by a deep, seated fear of being left behind, or perhaps of not being seen at all. It compels you to rashly rush your process, to abruptly change your carefully chosen path, and to desperately seek validation from people who fundamentally do not understand your unique journey. The world, with its relentless pace and constant demands, will perpetually try to shove you into lanes that simply don't belong to you. It will try to make you move faster than your natural rhythm demands, to be louder than your authentic self truly is, and to sprint in directions you never freely chose. But true, enduring success does not blossom from competing fiercely with others. It blossoms exquisitely from outgrowing yourself. Your real competition is not your peer, not your rival, but who you were yesterday. Your real, meaningful progress is meticulously measured in your unwavering discipline, your profound inner peace, your steadfast consistency, and your courageous resolve to stay absolutely true to your own unique, divinely appointed path. When you consciously avoid unnecessary competition, you simultaneously create invaluable room to think clearly. You are no longer compelled to make hasty decisions based on external urgency or crippling insecurity. Instead, you begin to choose wisely, thoughtfully, deliberately. You grant yourself the essential time to grow sustainably, organically. You cease striving to win quickly and instead commit to diligently building something that will truly last. You are no longer merely a reactive product of fleeting market noise. You become the deliberate creator of your very own powerful rhythm. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in human history, some of the most profound innovations, have occurred when individuals courageously stepped away from the frenetic crowd, when they chose to ignore the deafening noise, when they bravely removed the suffocating pressure to conform, to fit in, or to constantly outperform others. That, unequivocally, is when true creativity flows like an unblocked river. That's when profound clarity triumphantly returns. That's when you cease merely surviving and truly begin to build, to construct something meaningful, something enduring. Let everyone else frantically fight for a fleeting spotlight. You, the wise one, can be calmly busy building the entire stage. Let them rush, let them fiercely compete, let them burn out in their relentless chase for ephemeral attention. You, however, stay steady, you stay laser focused, you remain profoundly in alignment with what truly, deeply matters to your soul. You will get there not by being faster, but by being infinitely more deliberate and discerning with your invaluable energy, your finite time, and your unwavering focus. The quiet strength, cultivating true confidence over noisy validation person. Male confidence isn't something you loudly announce. It's not a declaration you make to the world. It's a quiet, inherent quality you carry within your very being. It doesn't demand an audience. It doesn't require external approval or the thunderous applause of onlookers. True confidence grows in silence, in solitude, and in the steady, often unseen, process of diligently doing what needs to be done, day in and day out, even when absolutely no one is watching. Real confidence is quiet precisely because it doesn't possess any inherent need to prove anything to anyone. It doesn't feel compelled to convince skeptics or sway opinions. It simply exists, a steadfast inner knowing rooted deeply in genuine self awareness, meticulously built through accumulated experience, and vigilantly protected by a profound humility. Noisy validation, on the other hand, is a seductive but ultimately dangerous trap. It's loud, overtly attention seeking, and tragically short lived. It often looks like confidence from a distance, but in truth, it's a thinly veiled form of insecurity in disguise. People who constantly chase external validation perpetually need to be seen, to be heard, and to be praised by others, because they haven't yet cultivated a deep, unshakable trust within themselves. Their sense of self worth becomes entirely dependent on external reactions. Their precious energy is relentlessly consumed by the fleeting highs of likes, comments, and public recognition. And when the noise, the applause, the external affirmation inevitably fades and disappears, so too does their fragile sense of identity. Building quiet confidence means you undertake the work because it genuinely matters to you, not because it happens to be the latest trend. It means you consistently show up, you consistently put in the effort, regardless of who might be paying attention or who isn't. You learn to trust yourself, your instincts, and your capabilities, even when there's no bright spotlight shining on you, no immediate reward in sight, and no cheering audience. It's precisely in those quiet, often unnoticed moments when you consistently choose unwavering discipline over fleeting distraction, relentless persistence over momentary popularity, that real, enduring confidence is authentically formed. No grand announcements, no elaborate performances, just steady, quiet, undeniable progress. Individuals imbued with quiet confidence don't waste their energy arguing with their own doubts, nor do they feel the need to elaborate on their ambitious dreams to anyone who will listen. They don't experience the compulsive urge to post every single step of their journey for public consumption. They possess a deep, abiding knowledge of who they are and precisely what they are diligently working toward. They are profoundly grounded, unshakable, not easily rattled by the shifting sands of public opinion. And precisely because they do not need external validation, they are not easily manipulated by fleeting trends or the intoxicating allure of applause. Their chosen direction is driven powerfully from within, not erratically pulled from outside by external forces. Noisy validation thrives on attention. It loudly demands to be acknowledged. But attention, by its very nature, is incredibly fleeting. What happens to be popular today is often completely forgotten by tomorrow. If your fundamental sense of self worth is inextricably tied to being noticed, to being seen, you will perpetually feel like you're falling behind, forever chasing an elusive ideal. You'll endlessly pursue fleeting moments of recognition without ever genuinely building real, lasting substance. And over time, that relentless chase will inevitably leave you feeling profoundly empty, even if the entire world is momentarily clapping for you. Quiet confidence doesn't chase, it creates. It meticulously focuses on the intrinsic process of becoming genuinely better, rather than solely on the external pursuit of being seen. It deeply values depth over superficial display, sustainable growth over momentary gimmicks, and profound impact over a polished image. It undeniably takes longer to build, but it lasts infinitely longer too. Because when you truly, deeply know what you bring to the table, what inherent value you possess, you don't feel the desperate need to loudly announce your arrival. You simply walk in and get to work. The individuals who ultimately go the farthest, who achieve the most enduring success, are almost never the loudest. They are the ones who consistently move in silence, who lead with an unwavering sense of purpose, and who allow their diligent work to speak for itself. They remain blissfully undistracted by the clamor of competition or the siren song of validation, because their overarching mission is profoundly bigger than any fleeting applause. They have already internally validated themselves through the sheer force of their effort, their unwavering resilience, and their steadfast discipline. That kind of profound confidence cannot be bought, cannot be borrowed, and most certainly cannot be faked. It is truly earned. You don't need to prove yourself to people who fundamentally do not understand your unique path. You don't need to loudly post every single win to feel inherently valuable. You don't need constant praise or external affirmation to keep going when the going gets tough. When you possess true quiet confidence, you keep going because your reasons are deeply rooted, intrinsically motivated, not merely reactive to external stimuli. Your motivation springs forth from something far deeper, an unwavering commitment to the person you are relentlessly becoming. Quiet confidence is profoundly patient. It doesn't frantically rush to be seen. It doesn't succumb to panic when external recognition is delayed. It possesses the inherent understanding that true success is not always immediately visible, especially in its formative stages. Sometimes, in the arduous beginning, it looks deceptively like sheer hard work, like long, solitary nights, and like countless small, invisible wins. But each and every one of those quiet, unnoticed moments is meticulously building something immensely powerful beneath the surface, a profound kind of strength that doesn't simply fade away when the applause inevitably stops. Validation, while it may feel good in the moment, is inherently temporary. Confidence, when deeply rooted and authentic, feels calm, stable, and profoundly lasting. When you finally cease striving to impress others and consciously redirect your focus inward, concentrating on genuinely improving yourself, the desperate need for external noise completely disappears. You begin to feel more profoundly grounded, more singularly focused, and more deeply at peace. You become exponentially more effective, significantly less reactive, and profoundly more in control of your own unique, self directed path. Final words: mastering the silent mindset for enduring success. In conclusion, in a world perpetually obsessed with superficial showing off and constant self promotion, the true, enduring winners are, more often than not, the quietest players. The profound message encapsulated in the phrase, "never tell people what you do," is not about fostering secrecy in a negative sense. It is fundamentally about strategy. When you talk too much, too soon, about your meticulously laid plans, you inevitably expose them to an onslaught of premature criticism, uninformed judgment, and an avalanche of unnecessary pressure. People, by their very nature, won't always fully understand the intricate nuances of your vision, and a significant many will, perhaps unintentionally, project their own deep seated fears, their lingering doubts, or even their simmering jealousy onto your sacred journey. That, unequivocally, is why silence is power. Let your results speak for themselves. Allow your consistent actions to eloquently reveal your deepest intentions. Silence, in this context, does not equate to inactivity or stagnation. It signifies laser, like focus, strategic protection, and profound growth. You are not hiding, you are diligently building. You are not desperately seeking external validation. You are meticulously cultivating quiet confidence. The strongest, most resilient foundations are painstakingly laid in private, far away from the distracting noise of external opinions or the burden of predetermined expectations. When you consciously choose to move in silence, you remain wonderfully free from the relentless grind of toxic competition. You adroitly avoid premature judgment that can cripple nascent dreams, and you vigilantly protect your invaluable mental clarity from external clutter. Remember this profound truth: people can't destroy what they don't know. Let them underestimate you. Let them wonder. Stay grounded in your purpose. Work with unwavering discipline, and build with a fierce, singular purpose. When the time is truly right, when your efforts have quietly culminated, the results will emerge and speak for you. They will resonate louder, more powerfully, and with far more undeniable credibility than any explanation you could ever articulate. Because true power, enduring power, is never loud. It is unflinchingly consistent, profoundly silent, and utterly undeniable.